Afternoon to everyone who's present here. Hello and welcome everyone who has joined. Thank you for joining this session organized by GDSC JU and Algorithmic session. I'm sure all of you are looking forward to the session. So let's begin. For the unversed, a short introduction of what ICPC is. It was formerly known as the ACM ICPC competition. It is, to put it mildly, is considered as the Olympics of competitive programming. It is one of the oldest, largest, if not the most prestigious programming contest, algorithmically speaking, in the world. It is multi-tier, it is team-based, and you have to qualify through a number of stages, and finally, if you reach the World Finals. Today, we have Team BForBruteForce with us, who have graced us, and they are willing to share their experience with us, so that all of us can learn and understand how to pursue this journey if we so wish to. So, without further ado, I would like Team BForBruteForce to kindly please introduce yourselves one by one.
Sure, I can start, or Orko can start.
Feel free, you go first.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Anubhav, and yeah, I passed out in 2023. I'm currently working as a software engineer at Clean, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep. Uh, I am Orko. I passed out 2023, obviously with them, and I am a software engineer currently at the shop.
Hello, I am Deepamay and I graduated in 2023 from the CSC batch with them only. And currently I'm working at Rippling as an SDE.
You are on mute, Sean.
Am I on mute?
That's fine.
Am I audible now?
Uh,
Yep.
Sorry for that. Right, so let's just jump into the questions directly. I'll start simple. How did you start your CP journey right from the very beginning? Anubhav,
Yeah, so I knew about CP a bit before starting college, but it was at the end of 2019, so mid first year that we actually started looking at a few problems from long challenges and found it interesting. We were trying out quite a few things then, so CTFs also we looked into a bit, but it was just easier to get into CP, and that's how we started basically. And soon we created accounts on CodeChef and courses and started uh, participating in contests basically.
So, yeah, these people kind of wanted me to get into it like much earlier, I guess. November, December of 2019. But like I kind of mainly started around 2020, like during COVID. Yep, that. So I started. So like they kind of convinced me, this ICPC thing is great. We should like make a team, go there, and yep, for that. So I started mainly reading cpalgorithms.com. So yep, that's from there. You just they link to various problems, and I just created accounts there. I started solving some stuff. Like yeah, slowly from there only I got into it.
Dipomoy muted.
oh, yeah, it was same for me too. Like I also started with Anubhav only. We made accounts on Code Forces, CodeChef. Like beginning, also there was Hacker Rank. I used to practice at the start, but yeah,
right.
it was
So if
mostly
I'm
same.
correct,
Yeah.
Orkoda wasn't sold on the idea initially.
Not really. I mean, they were very enthusiastic. I was like, yeah, let me do my college work, man.
And
So
what really convinced you in the end?
Nothing. Like there was so much time in like when the COVID lockdown hit, right? You can't like there is no college or anything. Yeah, you had to do something. Like,
Fair enough. That was a very all right. So moving on, what was what were all of your like? You've given ICBC like a number of times at this point, finally qualifying to the World Finals. So can you like walk us through the journey of how your initial attempts went and finally like what changed throughout the attempts? Or could that?
okay, sure. So the first time, so that was in 2020, I believe. So that year, it was completely online. The regionals were also online that year. So we did quite well in the prelims. I think we came 37th. Like for like we were just in like a second year, start of second year. So for that, I believe that was like really good. And in the regionals, we like I there were two. I don't think we did very well in one, and in one I think we came around 50 to 60th, somewhere around there.
53rd.
Oh, nice. Thanks for remembering. So that that I feel was like pretty good. Like that kind of gave us the motivation. Yeah, we can go like, quite far in this. And then like that at the start of our third year, so that was ICPC 2021. That year we did really badly in the prelims. We came like 120, 30, something like that. And yep, so we like uh we had just I believe just come after our internships at that point. I'm right. I don't know if you want sure I'm right on this. So yep, so we were like not in like great form, you can say. And yeah, so we decided, yeah, just like skip the regionals that year. There's not much point. We aren't gonna qualify beyond that anyway.
but
But
we would have gone, right? If we didn't have my trip to Rajasthan and your trip to Dubai, which was during the regionals. So
yeah,
yeah, that was the
what's
only reason we didn't go, I think.
I mean that like we kind of convinced ourselves that was the reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like that was. But I believe like if we had gone to the regionals, we wouldn't have done like too badly. But yeah, we wouldn't have like gone like much beyond that, I believe. And then at fourth year, that this is the year for which we qualified for the World Finals. So we did like okay. Okay, I'll let Anubhav like elaborate on this. What happened
Right.
this year?
Yeah. So no, I think Deepoma can do this better.
Okay, our fourth year, like we were quite optimistic and serious. So we made actual plans on how we should prepare. Like we divided topics and we tried to prepare our booklet for the team during the offline contest. And we also had made plans on doing live contests going to the college offline. So Anubhav took his computer and we were and we also had that booklet with us separately and we were not using any internet stuff during the rounds. So at the start we were doing really badly as expected, with a few iterations we were doing quite well and we
So
were very hopeful.
to say that there were two changes then from what we generally do. One is we had one computer, and second we had no internet access. So these two, so you don't have access to OEIS, for example, uh, and that makes quite a bit of a difference.
Right. So like up until that point, you would like sit on three different devices and you would do one thing.
And like sit in our homes with AC and everything, and like going to college, sitting in one of the like larger classrooms. Yeah, that was much different than the environment we were doing the contests in previously.
Right. So taking it a little bit back, like this ties into what you just said. I would like to have ask a two-tier question. The more important of which is how does your dynamic, like Deepamaya, that was telling you, you started splitting questions right at the end, but before, right up to that point, how would you as a team approach the problems?
Uh, we never really had a strategy that we had written down. So we had good coordination right from the beginning, I think. So we were friends from the beginning of college, and when we started doing contests, uh, we just had good coordination from the go. But we gave a lot of team contests, and with every contest, you find some uh, other problems, some communication problems, some coordination problems. So you find that two of us were working on the same problem, and it could have been avoided by having better communication and so on.
One of them was me always.
Yeah, and Orko was the one who was always one of the two persons solving the same problem. Yeah. So yeah, and like we made incremental improvements on how we participated as a team, and yeah, by the end we had gotten pretty good, I think, like in terms of just team coordination.
I,
Right.
I feel like the other thing is uh, I feel we kind of knew who was good at what. Like so if there was like some string problem, we always knew like people would solve it. Like he was probably the guy on that. If there was some random geometry constructive problem, I would get it most of the time. And like say some DP problem or like some really nice algorithmic data structure problem, Noah would get it most of the time. So that kind of was like an internal split we kind of like was like subconsciously aware of, you can say.
Right, right. Okay, so like distilling it down, would you say that good communication and then like knowing your strengths, these two were what it boiled down to?
Yeah, knowing your strengths is important, but proper delegation is also going through all the problems at the beginning of the contest and identifying what the problem was about. You don't always correctly identify just from skimming through the problem, but geometry is easily identifiable, and uh, like either you have xi, yi points given in the input, or you have a diagram, and yeah, so like delegating it to the correct person, and also finding a good order for solving the problems is also something we improved over time.
Right. Okay. On a slightly lighter note, you mentioned that you were friends right from the beginning of college. So, like, could you put some more light on how you all actually got together, or was it natural? What was it? And the second thing is, any special like reason for BFBF, B for brute force, or is it just something that came off the top of your heads? Like,
Like Anubhav and I were friends from school, and Anubhav and Orko were friends from coaching. So basically, we were.
Acquaintances from coaching.
Yeah,
And BF, I think Anubhav knows. I completely forgot.
no one knows. I think like it just came up at some point. We had to make a team name. We had 5 minutes, and we just came up with it. There is no big backstory behind that.
right then. Now moving on, like a lot of teams, like some of our friends also, they're also trying for ICPC. So, what would you say are the primary pitfalls that like to look out for, and some things that you realize down the line that like serious things that people don't realize because they're not participating enough, and they don't have the experience, the exposure that you guys have.
Okay, I can go. So I think one of the main things I have seen is like the more you kind of stick with it, like solving problems and all. Like I said, like not over like a short span, but over the course of say months or years, you just kind of get better at it, like in more ways than one. So in like when it comes to like these tournaments, right? Like regionals or say Asia West, where you have to be like physically there at your computer. So like people who have been there, I feel for a like long time, I just like have like a natural advantage. Advantage is they're like more experienced in like the rounds and stuff. So like I'll say, don't be disheartened. Like if you don't do well in like your first attempt or second attempt, it's probably you're probably not gonna do great like in your uh immediately. You're not gonna be able to do great. But like I think like patience is like important, and not only patience but like doing stuff the right way, like following the right techniques, that's also important. I let Anubhav elaborate on those, but yeah, that's something I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, that's pretty elaborate, I think. Also, one more thing is taking breaks is important. Uh, Something we did, probably not so intentionally. So internships broke our continuous uh, flow of solving, like participating in contests, and then we had at some point in the second year we did cryptography for 2 months, and at the end of second year, or I don't remember the timeline much, but we started a bit of machine learning and deep learning stuff. So yeah, at those points we completely laid off CP basically. And when you come back, you have a better perspective. And one like there is a disadvantage. So as soon as you stop practicing CP, you become worse at implementing and having a grasp of all the techniques you use in your day-to-day lives. But yeah, it's not too hard to get back, and it's you come back better, I think. After
Deepamayla, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, I think mostly it is consistency, like yeah, and breaks obviously.
Yeah, Deepam, I actually gave all the contests in the last 4 years that ever like that happened on any platform. So you would say consistency is important.
Yeah.
All right. So like even when you guys were on break, Deepamayla was there just
Yep.
pumping out competition
Doing
after competition.
internship before, after, all the time. Code Forces, Code Chef, Toki, at Code, wherever you find contests, he has probably done it. Yeah.
Right. So this sort of ties into my second question. Uh, Anubhavda, you were saying like you had breaks when you went for interning or something. So the primary question that a lot of people here have is how did you juxtapose, right? The academics, the like maintaining your GPA, preparing for ICPC, and doing like did these two conflict? I'm guessing they did. Like how did you resolve? How did you?
Oh, maintaining a good GPA is not that hard, I think, irrespective of whatever else you are doing. Uh, Yeah, but I didn't juxtapose other things much. I think if I am developing something, I just do that generally. But I think Orko does this better. I think he can answer.
Yeah, like so uh it I feel depends from person to person, right? So one of here like he like really gets into stuff like when like developing or something, he like really gets into the details. Like he's super good like at whatever he does. But like yeah, uh like I'm like less immediately into stuff. So you can say like I find it kind of easier juggling 2 or 3 tasks, but like if you are just worried about your college GPA, it's not. I feel like it's not that hard to maintain. Then like if you like attend your classes and just like keep up basic stuff, like just not leave everything like one day before the exam. I guess it's not too hard. Before I will be able to say like how he did, surely.
Yeah, it is not that difficult. Like if you even start a week before, you will most likely manage to get everything done.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, all right. Focusing on the latest W, could you like? I know you've briefly went through it, but we would love to hear more. If you like, just elucidated the entire 2022 like process from listeners to World Finals, the entire journey, what it was like, because we're eager to listen.
Yeah, so I think we mentioned a bit about our prep. One important thing that was different, that was not that different from previous attempts, is we had all individually gotten a lot better. Our individual ratings were better, and yeah. So other than that, we started doing so like offline contests was the main thing, I think. Offline, by offline I mean going to like meeting in college and doing single computer, no internet, and only team reference document contests. And yeah, then we participated in the prelims where we didn't do very well in either of them. So like sub 39s in both, and like which was not up to our expectations from prelims. And yeah, so one of them was expected. They had four very easy problems, and everyone solved it really quickly, and it was not a very good differentiator. But the other was good. We just messed up during the contest, I think. And yeah, it's good that we made our early mess ups during the prelims, because then in the regionals we did pretty well. I don't remember the ranks exactly. Actually, Deepoma will probably
Eight
remember.
and nine.
8 and 9. Okay. So in Amritapuri we had come eighth, I think, and
Right.
in Kanpur we had come ninth, and yeah, then we qualified to. We would have qualified to the Asia West from either of them, and we qualified it from Amritapuri because it was the first one. And yeah, and then Asia West, what happened is it was by far the best team contest we had ever done, basically. Uh, it was going really badly until I would say the third hour. We had misread a problem, uh, an easy problem, and then we were trying to solve a problem which is probably not solvable. And then after we saw that many people were getting it, we like, tried rereading and understanding the problem again until we figured out the actual problem, which was really easy. Yeah, that was a big obstacle in qualifying, I think. But then at the end of the fourth hour, we made a solve, and it was a pretty hard problem. And we came like just before, so you know the rank list freezes for the last hour, and we solved it during like 5 seconds before the rank list froze, and we saw that we were 15th on the rank list, and even 15th was not good enough. We had to solve one more problem, uh, which we did in the end. And yeah, and then we were pretty much sure after the contest that we had gotten in until I think Bayon called Deepoma and said that we had gotten. So that's also an interesting story. They had told us that they will unfreeze the rank list after 1 hour of the contest. So we had a like briefing after the contest, and so we were just going for lunch after the contest was over, and they had just unfrozen the rank list, say 15 minutes after the briefing. And yeah, that's how we found out that we had gotten in.
Brilliant, brilliant.
So I think we were like especially lucky on that day, like Asia West day. Like it's like when you start the round that badly with like that big a penalty on time, like it's very
We
rare that
we
you can
also
make it.
solved a very easy problem using FFT. Like
Yeah, that was also there.
it was
So
Orko's idea.
yeah, and this is like important in this context because FFT you need to write additional, and this also takes time. Without FFT, you could just write the code for the problem and like for the solution, and that would have been enough. So like the advantage of that approach was you didn't have to think about the solution. You could just solve it, like brute force it with FFT. But yeah, we lost time typing out FFT functions and stuff. That was also a slight setback, I think.
Right. So there's a trade-off then, right, between like the implementing the solution that like comes to mind, or then like trying to come up with something more elegant.
Yeah, right. like generally you want to think about a solution more when you so when it's a say second or third easiest problem of the contest, you should just assume that it won't require any big algorithms or anything you would need to type out separately. Uh, so we should have understood that it's probably not a FFT, not an FFT problem, but since FFT solution was so obvious, we just went with it.
I'll say like this is something as well in if you're like practicing on code chef, code forces, whatever. This is something like till like the first three problems, like people tend to think like super complicated stuff, but it rarely requires anything like too crazy. You will require like up to binary search, maybe some dynamic programming, but that's about it. You don't really need any like complex stuff most of the time. Like so, if you are thinking like something crazy, you're like 90% of chance you're probably thinking wrong. So that's like something that's like a hack you can say that you kind of catch on with as you give more contests.
Right. So like to expect simple, like less complicated solutions in the initial portions, and then think of like complicated things.
Yep.
Right. 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 So we did open up this session to some of members. Like they have submitted their questions through their G forms too. So I would like to take up some of the questions with you guys if you're
Sure.
Sure.
okay. I don't know if this is really relevant because all right, somebody has asked that they are from a non-circuital branch. They are aspiring for competition, CPU-based competitions. Like, is it feasible for them? How far is it? Like, how did they? Do you have any pointers?
Uh, I don't think branch has that much of a relation with participating in CP contests. Uh, yeah, we started CP and solving problems, learning algorithms much before we had the DSA course in CSE. So yeah, I don't think branch has much relation with doing CP at all.
So would you say it's more up to the individual, right? It's up to you people or like students like us who are interested in it to figure out stuff out as we go.
Yeah.
I'll say like one thing is like just get like a good like team, I guess, from your like batch or something. Like who are enthusiastic. I don't mean they have to be like super good or anything. Like just enthusiastic will like motivate you and stuff. Like that's one thing that I feel our team had. So like we whenever like one guy went on a break, the other guy would be like, hey, you're not giving round for like X days here. What's up? So that's like something I feel we had.
Right. So peer group is very important.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. This is more of a more like minute question, but somebody here is asking, like, when they're solving problems, how to decide when I give up, when I start looking at editorials, when I like, how do you like do that when I'm sitting down and solving, not just post contest, but in general?
I think there are three trains of thought on this. So one is basically you never look at editorials, and I am I was a bit of a supporter of this at some point, but I think I'm no longer. I don't think not looking at editorials is that good of an idea, for me at least. And yeah, the second train of thought is you uh, try solving a problem until you get bored of it or you don't have any more ideas to try out. And the third one is you have a fixed time depending on the difficulty. So if it's say 200 points above your rating, then you give half an hour to it. If it's more, you give 1 hour or so on. And then you just look at the editorial. I think one can try out all three of these and see which one, say for a few months, and see which one leads to better improvement.
I feel I am particularly like stubborn on like not giving up on like a problem. So like I have lots of problems in my backlog which I've not seen the editorial and I haven't solved, but I've like read the problem. It's I think like if you're trying to improve, it's important to see the editorial though. It's like yeah, that's like one thing. So no, not only reading the editorial, but like like actually thinking about it. Like what is so like one thing I ask like whenever say I couldn't do it is like why what was the thing I missed here? Like why what is it that he thought differently here? Like what was the core trick? So that's like a very weird question. Like you don't like know the answer immediately, but you soon catch up with it, I feel.
Yeah, like I also think like editorial is actually very important. So like a lot of time it has happened that I reduced a problem into a simpler problem, but I have no idea how to solve that simpler problem. Let's say it needs a number of distinct elements in a range. So now this seems like a very simple problem, standard problem, but I don't know how to do. So I look at the editorial, then I learned a new trick. It may be that you don't even need that distinct elements trick, but most of the time, I mean, less of the time you will actually find that you are learning something new. Like most of the time you know everything. So that is also a thing. So you
Right.
have
So
to
like,
just balance it properly.
so I mean, like, think of the problem, progress to a certain extent, and then maybe look at the editorial, like as you said, to
Yeah.
solve, maybe figure out a smaller chunk of the. Right. Right. So, you know, Anubhavda mentioned that Deepamaya has given every like contest on every coding platform that is possible. But like in general speaking, what are the like primary platforms would you recommend and like and what people so what resources would you suggest when one is going into it?
Like at the beginning, like I was mainly involved in DP problems. Like we were separating topics, and I was mostly starting with DP problems. So at the start, I started with HackerRank specifically for DP, and I saw that it gave quite a nice improvement. And also practicing code forces and that coder was important. But now I think there is Usako guide, if you all know. Uh, it has a really curated topics and ideas. If you follow it very religiously, I think you will be very good. But like platforms, there are a lot of platforms to solve contests and problems. Mainly
One
are code forces, code chef, at coder.
Right.
one I feel like kind of helped me towards the end was like oj.uz that has like problems on like past OI contests. That that is nice. I really like these like high school slash OI problems. That I like to that's like one thing not a lot of people know about.
Right. So that is something that was unique because yes, apart from these, like those could like the compilation of past problems is indeed useful. Anubhavda
Yep. What happened to him?
is Anubhavda his video is frozen. Wait.
My video is frozen.
Oh no no yes yes it's back. Yes, would like what were the primary platforms that you would recommend or resources?
Yeah, I started with CodeChef and CodeForces. I think HackerRank. I solved problems, but I there weren't any contests, or maybe there were contests and I didn't participate. Yeah, and now I would just say go for AtCoder. I think solving ABCs is really good. Solve until you can solve, and then look at the editorial for the next one. Like try and then look at the editorial for the next one. I think. Uh, yeah, AtCoder is the best for improving in the beginning. I think.
Right. Moving on. Somebody is asking, how to overcome the jump from expert to candidate master in code forces.
Hmm. Hmm. Maybe Diploma can answer better.
Yeah, ED is first, I think, right?
I think like you just have to give contests to reach candidate master. If you don't give any contest, you will stay expert. So like mostly it is about practice only. Like don't get demotivated if you are getting negative deltas continuously, and yeah,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
upsolve.
yeah, upsolving and solving rating plus 200, 300 problems while you're practicing, like participating in contests, I
Right.
think.
So would you say like on a scale like bare minimum is upsolving and solving contests or going super saiyan like Deepa Mehta and solving every contest is?
Yeah, that helps, I think, solving every contest. I would have done it if I had better guidance.
No, like I mostly solved other platforms just due to interest. Like I didn't upsolve them. Like only the code force at coder problem I was serious about. Like the other platforms just for getting good rank or something.
I feel like one thing people like get motivated by is like, suppose you reach like 1700 rating and then you like fall back down, and then like you're trying to reach candidate master, but like, so you think like, oh, I've got it, but you really haven't. So like it's not like, uh, I don't know the word, but it's like your capability or like your true rating didn't really go down. So like you, so like it's not like, even if your like rating went down. So if you were like, if you didn't take like a huge break or something, I feel like there's not much reason to get demotivated. Like even if you fell down to 1600, because like your true rating never really decreased. That's like one way I like to think about it. So like eventually your true rating will catch up with like the whatever like candidate master or like whatever like real rating on code courses you want to reach.
Right. So like we should more focus on the capability aspect of it and focus less on rating is because one bad contester that will not.
Yeah, like you can have like one bad contest, or you can like have like one good contest as well, and like go up to say like whatever 1600 or 1700, and then like you feel okay, this is like, this is like I am, this is like how I am expected to do every time from now on. And that's like just like a bad mental state to be in. That's like one thing I have fallen into like quite a few times. So yeah, so I just wanted to say, even if like you look at your rating graph like 1 year ago, oh no, I was 1900. Oh, this year I'm like at 1850 now. Oh, but like you really didn't become that much worse if you kept up with stuff.
Exactly, and like I think this highlights another important point. Like we look up to you guys and we see these things, but there must have been an immense amount of effort and consistency that has like at the end gone into this. We talk about this and we think that yes, it's something, but like the consistency that is required is not something that comes easily, right? Because let's be honest, there are a lot of things that are there around, but like, keeping up at it right from the beginning is commendable. So we aren't really like, what was the scenario like around you guys in your batch when it came to this sort of CPA?
Yeah, so I think one important milestone there was a session by our seniors Soham Mukherjee and Abhishek Pal, and they had basically a binary search session where they uh, where we solved a couple of problems. I remember the names. One of them was aggressive cows, and one of them was fair workload. And both of those problems are basically the technique called binary searching the answer. And yeah, it was such a different uh, u- usage of binary search that we found it very interesting. We were already into CP quite a bit then. but it was also something that pushed us. And it's not hard to be consistent or motivated if you find CP interesting.
I
So that,
remember coming out of that session and asking you guys, why should we try to compensate for the computer slowness by creating these stupid algorithms? I remember this one. So like, that's
Fair question.
we can just increase the number of processors.
Like no matter like the solution will like no matter what the problem is, just throw more compute power at it.
yep.
Yeah, and parallelize it, and just that should do it.
Right, right. So I think what you said highlighted another very good point. Like I understand that like whenever you guys were stuck on something, you would ask like amongst yourself, you would discuss and you would figure out things out. But let's say there were things that like you guys weren't aware about. Like who would you approach? Who would you consider like to mention
Tubnik.
senior?
Anubhav approached Tubnik for certain problems.
So, but that was much later, I think. We didn't actually have any guide or mentor, I think. We would just uh, try finding the solution, scouts, Google search results. If we didn't find it, we just left it. But generally, you would find it at least in some Chinese website, and you would Google translate it. But yeah, I don't think we had any guide or mentor to ask questions, ask problems if we couldn't solve them. Yeah.
But like, I feel like we always had kind of each other, like we could always like give it to one guy and like, yeah, see if you can do this. Like I feel like 50% of the time that would just do it.
And
Yeah,
like
you
we
can
also have different strengths. Like so, most of the problems, some if I am stuck in something, like they might know it is a simple thing only. Anubhav or Orko might know it well, some number theory trick or something. So we have
Right,
vast cover of the knowledge.
right. So like if I have to win ICPC World Finals, I've got it figured. Get friends who know the rest of it. All right.
Not
Like
really.
not to win ICPC World Finals. Like
Right.
yeah.
All right. So uh onto like the actual question. There are people who will like who are attempting to like give CP competition. They're going through this entire process. You have been to a stage where you've seen like what the situation is on a global scale, right? So like in a sense, it's a broader question, but people who are giving contests in their college or in terms of like at that scale, how would you say like what the competition is like? What should one actually like expect if like starting out if one is aspiring for that level of success or collab?
I feel like one thing is, uh, you know, like this is something as well. Like if you give contests, like you suppose you solve four problems, right? In 2 hour round, you solve four problems till like 1 hour 20 minutes, and then the remaining 40 minutes, you're like, okay, I am ranked good here. Even if I chill these 40 minutes, it should be fine for my rating or whatever. That is like that is something that just doesn't work. Like if you go on like figure like the better the contest gets, people just keep solving and solving and solving till the very end. That's like mental fortitude, something people have. Like they just like, create like energy, mental energy to keep just going and going and going. So that's like that's one thing. That's like a very big difference, I feel, in these sort of contests.
Right. Dibamaida, Anubhav.
Yeah, like it's important. Like you should not leave a contest. Like I had situations where there is half an hour left, and I'm very happy about my rank, and I saw the next problem, and it was very easy. Like some contest, some e problem in Div 1 plus Div 2 round, I saw it was like very easy, but according to the rank list, it was a difficult problem. So I just knew the trick somehow. So you shouldn't give up on the next problem. Always trick the next problem. And if you couldn't solve it, which you would most likely do in every contest, just read the editorial after that.
Right, right. Uh, moving on. Let's see if you have any other questions. All right, I believe we have covered the majority of questions here. But Deepamada, Orkoda, Anubhavda, a lot of people are listening to you right now, as well as will be listening to this later on when it goes up. To people who are starting out, as well as people who are going through this journey, like what would be the thing that you would tell them at this point? Like a few words, if you could, Orkoda.
Nothing really hard. It's just don't it's
Sorry.
like don't get too stressed about it. That's like the main thing. Like, be it rating, be it like not improving. I feel like you just get too stressed. Worked up. Oh, I can't reach X rating. This guy reached X rating before me. Whatever. This guy's better than me. Like if you're like sticking at it and like actually kind of like want to explore like algorithms, data structures, whatever. That's still good. That's still good. Doesn't matter. Like if you are not like if you do not reach the ICPC whatever Asia World Finals whatever I don't think it's like that big a deal. To be honest, I know this defeats the whole purpose of the interview, but like yeah, that's something I'll say.
Yeah, I think this is kind of important to not have lofty goals. So we didn't actually focus on getting good at ICBC until the last year, I think. Before that, we were just solving problems, doing contests, and getting better on our own. Team contests we used to do because we really liked like 5 hour contests where we would collaborate, solve problems, discuss after the contest, and so on. But we had gotten better at it over time, and ICBC was something, although we didn't actually know that we will go, but uh, we just decided to get more serious. So it's not that important when you are starting out. At least it's important to just, also this is another thing, if you don't like CP, you still like try for a month or two. If you still don't like it, there are many more other things to do which are really interesting. And but if you would like CP, then just solve problems, do contests, and you will just get better over time.
Deepamada.
Yeah. Yeah, like mainly you should prioritize things first. Like if you see you don't have time, then you probably shouldn't approach CP. Like CP is a lot time taking. Maybe do other stuffs, college stuffs, if you're more focusing on that, or higher studies, something like that. But yeah, you need time and prioritize them. Like CP was the highest priority for me during college.
All right then. Uh, so don't set lofty goals. Prioritize CP and figure out if you're actually having fun, and don't stress it. So I believe we are at the end of our questions and of the general discussion. This has been an extremely interesting session on the Orkut Dipameda. I believe the people who are listening have also had as much fun as I have had. Thank you so much for giving us your precious time and effort. Uh, so
Thanks
with
for a
that,
good session, Soham.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
all right. Thank you so much. That is the end of the session then. We're signing off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye.
Everyone.